Hello, my name is Mike, and I wanted to create my first video on YouTube where I'm demonstrating how a Raspberry Pi can run your very own website. As I am a beginner, I wanted to conduct this video as a beginner when explaining how to completely set up a Raspberry Pi. As you can see in front of you, there are three items. We have the actual Raspberry Pi, we have the power cord, and we also have the SD card. As you can see here, this is a Raspberry Pi 3. It's about 4 years old. It has the Ethernet port. It has the 4 USB ports. Here it has it has an audio port, it has an HDMI cable, and of course the power port. This is also an SD card. That's where the SD card goes. The next thing that we have here is the actual power cord. Very simplistic. This was also purchased at the same time. And as you can see what the cord looks like, and that's very, very easy to get. Next thing that we have here is I have a lot of these SD cards just laying around. This happens just to be a Samsung brand, and it's 128 gigabyte. So it's actually quite large for an SD card, but it's going to be plenty of memory to be able to run a Raspberry Pi. I mean, you can run these things at 4 megabytes or even 8 megabytes. I mean, it could be anything you want to do. Now, what I want to do is, because I am a beginner, I searched the internet when I first set up my own for my network, and I had to go to a myriad of different places, but in this instance I'm going to make a video where I go line by line, instruction wise, where we're going to install very, very specific steps in how to do this. So for an example, what we're going to do is we're going to actually format the SD card, and we're going to download software using Windows 10 to do this. The next thing we'll do is that we're going to use Windows 10. We're going to write the Raspbian OS, also referred to as the Raspberry Pi OS, onto the SD card using the Windows 10 laptop. Once we have that accomplished, we're going to plug in the Raspberry Pi using the HDMI cable into a TV. And the reason for this is because I want you to see what is taking place while the OS is being installed. And it'll provide an opportunity to see the GUI. And through that, we will install updates automatically. We'll be able to enable the SSH, which is going to be very crucial, as you will see, and also VNC. After we accomplish that task, we're going to return to Windows 10 to connect via SSH and install the web server components. We're going to first install Apache, where next we'll install PHP, next we'll install MySQL, next we'll install phpMyAdmin, and I've already purchased the domain name, and I purchased it through Google Domains. So we're going to be showing you how to accomplish setting up the dynamic DNS through Google Domains. Now, I know that a lot of you may have, like, say, GoDaddy or another type of registrar, but this is who I chose. This is who I go through. What I'm going to also do is I'm going to show you how to write a script for Google's API so that we constantly keep the dynamic DNS updated every hour. The next thing that we will do is that it's becoming the standard to have an SSL certificate on your website, and it helps to prevent fraud and other malicious activity, and especially if you're going to use your website to you know, if you have like PayPal or something like that and you're going to run transactions, it really does help to have that. And we're going to get a free certificate, and we're going to get that through Let's Encrypt. And finally, what we'll do is there's a lot of software that we can utilize, you know, from blog software to, you know, to forum software, etc. We're going to install Joomla version 4. And with that being said, let's get started.
Okay, the first task that we're going to complete is what we're going to format the SD card. And we're going to use an SD card formatter by Txera, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. And the way to find that particular piece of software is to simply, in a search in the Google search browser, is to type right here, SD card formatter Txera, and we're going to go ahead and click that. And now we get several different options here, but what we want to do is, in our case, we're going to come to the third one down, and it is SD memory card formatter. Now, when you click through that, it brings you to this page here. And again, this is a free software, so it's pretty nice. And you're going to scroll down here, and again, remember, we are on Windows 10, and so there's a Windows 7, 8, 8.1, and of course version 10, and with the Mac the same thing. And so we're going to keep scrolling down, and then here is where we do the download. So you have for Windows, for Mac, we're on Windows laptop, so we're going to use for Windows. So we click this, and this brings us to another page, SD memory card formatter for Windows download. This is the license agreement, the end user agreement, and you scroll down, and you must accept or decline it. In our case, we're going to accept it. So you click accept, and as you can see in the bottom left, I'm using Google Chrome, so the download automatically goes into it just generates it down here. And if you click here and you do show in folder, my default for downloads is obviously the downloads folder. And you can see that it's right here in zip format, and you'll need to extract that, and once you do that, the installation folder is here. The installation file is there, excuse me. Now, I have already done this part, and so I have already installed it. So you can go ahead and install this. And once you do that, you can pause my video and do that. But I'm going to continue on. Now, first things first, so I'm going to close this out. And I'm going to, I have my SD card. I'm going to put that into my PC. Oops. There we go. Oh, wrong way. There we go. And oops, there's that. And there, okay. So there, I have something on there or as it is, and so it detected that there was a little bit of an issue, but that's okay because I'm going to format it as it is. Okay, and I just want to show you what it does when there is something on there, and so that's why it detected that. So the first thing what we're going to do is we're going to format that, and let's see here. And right here I have the formatter. So it comes up as SD card formatter. So I double click that. And again, this is allowing it to make changes, but it's just to run it. So I'm going to click yes. And now here it is, it pulls it up. Now, when I inserted it, automatically selected that it's a D drive. And I'm going to leave it on quick formatting because it's just, it does a better job if you do, it does do what it needs to do, and everything does it very well, okay? I know the capacity is a little bigger. I ended up using a bigger card that I had laying around. I didn't realize I had it. And so I was like, well, I'll just use that just to see if I can do it. And so this kind of helped. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to format this with the quick formatting. So I'll just keep everything as default. And of course, this is going to let me know that it's going to erase all the data, as everybody is familiar with. You just click yes. And that's all it takes. Very, very quick. And you can see that everything is there. Click OK. Go ahead and exit out of there. And as you recall, there was like it did have something on there. And now that I'm going to go to the D drive, and you can see it's completely empty. So that's a good thing. So next thing I'm going to do is I am going to download the Raspberry Pi, the Raspbian OS image. And now to do that, I'm going to go back to my Google and google.com, because I want you to see how easy it is to find this. And what the best thing to type in on this one is Raspberry Pi. Oop, if I can spell, right? Raspberry Pi Raspbian image Windows Windows 10. Okay, so again, Raspberry Pi, Raspbian, image, Windows 10. Okay, you can click that, and so that's the one. So you could, there's like a few options from the search results, and you want to come right here, the second one, and it says raspberrypi.com, and it says software, and it says Raspberry Pi OS. So if you click that, it'll come to this link here, and it's Raspberry Pi OS, and it says your Raspberry Pi needs an operating system to work. That is it. Raspberry Pi OS, previously called Raspbian, is our official supported operating system. Okay, so you're going to come down here, and obviously knows that I'm on a Windows machine, and I will download the image of the Raspberry Pi OS. So I click that, and again, if you look at the bottom, it let me pull this up here in the folder. It downloaded to my download section, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to run that file. So I'm going to go ahead and just run it right from where it's at. Okay, so it's like, do you want to allow this to make changes? It's just asking Windows, of course, just prompted me to that it's an executable. Do you want me to go ahead and do that? I'm going to click yes. Okay, so the imager is going to do its setup. I'm going to install the imager. Okay, and now it's asking me, okay, it has finished installed very quick. Click finish to close setup when I do that, but I'm going to keep this checked. By default, the run Raspberry Pi imager is automatically checked. So you click finish. All right. So by default, this pulls up this screen here, and this is what's going to write the image to the SD card. Okay, so the first option, just go from left, then go to right. Okay, so the first thing is the operating system. So we're going to choose the OS. So click it, and you're going to have these options here. Now, these options, a lot of these options aren't going to apply to you at all, okay? The very first one, where it's a very nice little icons, colorful, Raspberry Pi OS 32-bit, it's a port, a bullseye, the Raspberry Pi desktop, and it's the only one that's recommended, okay? That is the one you want. And it has everything that you will possibly need. So you click that. So as you can see, it loaded it in the operating system. Next thing you want to do is you want to go to the storage. And the storage is going to be where we select the SD card. So click that. It's the only one that shows up because it knows that it's the only one that's in my laptop right now. So it's the only one mounted. So we just click that, and as you can see, it automatically detects it and it inputted it into the storage. The only option left is to write it, and this takes just a few minutes. So we're going to click write. And it'll ask you, all existing again will be erased. Are you sure you want to continue? Well, we already know there's nothing on the hard drive. So we're on the SD card. So we're going to go ahead and click yes. As you can see, it's preparing to write. It's going to be opening the drive, and it should begin shortly. And then now it has begun. as you can see, it's going pretty good. It's going a pretty good little rate here. I thought it would be a lot longer, but it's actually going quite fast. Very good. And as you can see, everything has been written to the SD card. It says we can now safely remove the SD card from the reader. That is exactly what we're going to do. And the next stage is that we're going to move this over to we're going to plug in an HDMI cable into the TV so that you can see what it's like to install this with the Raspberry Pi OS GUI. Okay, here we go.
Okay, the next step is to install the Raspberry Pi operating system. And as you can see, I actually did a USB. I plugged in a USB keyboard and a USB mouse. And the reason for this is because I'm gonna, as you recall, I am going to load it onto I have it connected to a TV via HDMI. And there we are. It took like a minute, but this is what the result is. Make this a little bit more straighter. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go through a few of the processes here just to get the GUI point set up. As you can see, the default is a fairly nice background. It doesn't. What's going to need to be corrected, and we'll get to that point, is as you can see that the top menu, it doesn't, the resolution isn't quite what the TV should be, and that's okay because it actually there's a part of the setup that's going to correct that, and I'm about to show you here in a second. So let's go ahead and go through. We're going to go through the sequences that it asks for. So here we go. So the first thing that you'd want to do is obviously click next. And I am in the United States, so the country we are going to select is obviously the United States. And it automatically will default to American English. The time zone is I am in California, so we're going to select Los Angeles, and there's a checkbox that says use the English language, and I always want to use a US keyboard whenever I have it connected in. As soon as that's completed, click next. It's going to set the location. Okay, the next thing what we're going to want to do is currently has the password of Raspberry. Yeah, and so you always want to change that default password. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. Okay, after we have done that, now we're going to click next to activate the new password. Great. And see, this is exactly what I was referring to, where the screen doesn't quite fit where the taskbar doesn't fit the screen. The taskbar is located at the top. And so I'm going to check box, the taskbar does not fit onto the screen. Once we do that, we're going to click next. Now the taskbar is not fixed right off the bat. It's going to wait until we have to do a reboot and things of that nature. So for this instance, we're going to select the Wi-Fi networks, and these are the Wi-Fi networks that are in my neighborhood. Mine happens to be the Matrix. Yes, I'm a Matrix fan. And we're going to click next. And then I do have a password for that, obviously. So let me go ahead and input that so we can connect. Okay, let's see if I entered that correctly. Great, and I sure did. Now what we're going to be doing is that the operating system and applications will now be checked and updated if necessary. And yeah, this may be involved a large download. And normally it is. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and click next.
We have our Raspbian operating system set up on the Raspberry Pi. What we're going to do next is that we need to connect our Windows machine to the Raspberry Pi via SSH. And to do that, we need a client. And the one that I use I already did a Google search for it, is called the MOBA Xterm. And I really find this very useful. It's free, and that's the best thing. And it works very well. But of course, you can use whatever you'd like. But in this case, I'll show you how to get this one here. You want to, it'll come here. It'll come to the very first link is at, again, we're using Windows 10. So we want the SSH client for Windows, and it's free. So we click that. We are going to come down here and you go to the Get It Now. You click that and you have two versions available. One is the Home Edition, which is the free version, and then you have the professional version, which costs $69 per user. And it does more things that you'd like, but I find that the free version does precisely what I need it to do. And you would click the Download Now button, and you have two versions here. You have the portable version and you have the installer version. I did the installer edition because it puts it on my Windows 10 machine. I don't need to put it onto a thumb drive and carry it around at this time. So for simplistic sake, I went ahead and downloaded it. It's already installed, and so we're ready to go in that regard. The next thing that we need to do is we need to find out what the IP address of the Raspberry Pi is. And there's a very simple way to do that. And you could do it right from your Windows machine. We could have done it when we installed the Raspbian, and we could have just looked at what the IP address was when we connected it to the Wi-Fi. But I just wanted to show you in a different way. And the way that we would do that is you would pull up a command prompt and in Windows. And the command, I've already did it. And if you recall that you would go by what you named the Raspberry Pi. Now, if you decide that you're not going to change the name, then the default is Raspberry Pi, and I'll show you exactly how you would do that. So if you recall correctly, we changed the name to the website that we're going to be utilizing, and it's easyaspi.app. So there we go. So what we would do is you would type in ns lookup and then the name that we assigned the Raspberry Pi. So for example, if we had left it just Raspberry Pi, this is the default. If we just did that and we were to hit enter, this is what it would come up. And it said, the error code is that the home portal can't find Raspberry Pi, query refused. And the address that it gives is the address of my router. And so it doesn't give us anything. It doesn't know what that is or anything like that. But if we give it the name that we had given it, easyaspi.app, and you hit enter, it finds it. And as you can see, the address is 192.168-.1.76. And as you can see, that is right there. And that is the address that we need. Okay, so we can close this out. We can minimize this. And here we are here. And as you can see, I have already had sessions that included it because this is just what I did. This is just what I have. Now, the default username is Pi, and that is what I'm going to be using just for simplicity's sake, okay? You can name it whatever you like, but that's what we're going to have it as. So what we want to do is, normally you would start a new session, and the username would be Pi. It would be the if you didn't change the password, it's going to be Raspberry would be the password. That's the default password. But if you recall, we did change it, so I have my own password for that. So the first thing that's going to happen when we prompt it, we're going to get prompted with a fingerprint, and this is because you will get this always on the very first login ever. And you always want to click yes on this, and it will store that fingerprint key. And if you don't, then the connection is going to always be constantly abandoned. It'll be, and you wouldn't be able to log on. So you want to click yes, and you'll get that at any time during the. You'll get that any time when you, no matter what a client that you use to get here. Okay, so as you can see up at the top, it's SSH session is pi at, and then the address. As you can see down here at the prompt, it's pi at easy as pi, and if you remember, that's what we set it to. So the first thing that we're going to do now that we're logged in is we're going to begin to install the server components. And the first thing that you should always do before anything is you need to always install updates. Okay? So the first thing that we'll do is we'll do the super user. So it's going to be sudo space apt space update space ampersand ampersand space sudo apt upgrade, and then we'll just make it all yes. Now, you can do these lines separately, but again, I'm just trying to make this easy and just do, one line at a, trying to do these one lines at a time. And this is just how you can do it just to get it all updated. And then, so we'll go ahead and hit enter. There we go. And if you remember that when we installed the operating system, we had already installed the updates and everything, so that's why this went very smoothly. Okay, the next thing what we're going to do is we're going to install Apache, and we'll install Apache 2. So the command for that is, again, sudo apt space install Apache 2 -yes. We just want it to get, this way it automatic, because it will always get prompted to say yes. Here we're already pre-prompting it. So you hit enter. And that's all there is to it. Real easy. Very easy. And so then to make sure that we were in the proper, to make sure that it installed correctly, we're going to go to the appropriate directory. So to do that, you're going to type in change directory, so that's CD space hyphen VAR hyphen www hyphen HTML. And you hit enter, and that works perfectly. So we're gonna, just to verify it, we'll go ls hyphen AL, and look at that. Perfect. And as you can see right here, there is an HTML file in there already. We can do a quick, again, just to verify it, host name hyphen capital I. And you can see here we have 192.168.1.76. And now to verify that, so we can go 192.168.1.76. So as you can see, it worked perfectly. This is the default page that will install PHP. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, again, you have the 192.168.1.76. You take that up to, we can take that to our browser. We can just copy and paste that right on in and hit enter, and there is the Apache 2 default page, and it is perfect. That means everything it's running, it's good to go. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to install PHP, and we go back to our SSH connection here, and what we're going to do is we're going to type sudo space apt space install space php space hyphen y for yes. So again, that's sudo space apt space install space php space hyphen y. Once we go ahead and do that, we will press enter. Okay, and that is it. If you recall correctly, when we installed Apache 2, it created an HTML file. That way we can see the default page. And if you hit ls again. You can see that right here, the index.html right there. We can go ahead and delete that right now because we need to test to make sure that PHP is working. So what we could do is we just type sudo space rm for remove space index. Sorry, my D is a little jumpy. Index.html. So it's quite okay to safely remove that because we can put whatever we want there. And so you could just remove that. We could just double check our work, hit ls again to list it, and you can see it's completely empty. Now what we want to do is we want to create our first PHP file. And how we're going to do that is that we're going to use, Linux has an editor, and it's already built into it. And the command to access that is going to be sudo. When again, this is going to also access it, and it's going to create a file at the same time. So then it's going to be space, and it's going to be NANO, and that is the name of the program. Space, and we can name this index, and then instead of HTML, we want to name it .php. We hit enter, and here we go. This is the actual command client for this, and what we want to do is we want to create a piece of code that's specific to PHP. And so how we're going to do that is we want it to say, we want the output to be hello world, for instance. So what you would do is this would be the command here. So it'd be the less than sign, question mark, PHP, space, echo, space, quote, hello world, close quote, semicolon, space, question mark, greater than sign. What we're going to do, then the command here, you want to hit control. You can see down here is it tells you the list of commands that are available. And what we want to do is we want to save this. So it's going to be we want to exit. So it's going to be Control X, and it'll ask you, do you want to save modified buffer? And that's basically the equivalent of saving the file. So you want to hit yes, and then you go file name to write. And again, we already named index.php, so we don't need to make any changes to that. So we just hit enter. Now that we have created that file, let's list it to see if it's there. And we can do ls again, and it is there. As you can see, it's index.php. And now what we're going to do is to make sure that it worked in the browser, come over here. So this is where we had created the original default HTML file, and we just want to refresh this page. And if we refresh this page, if we did it right, the output should be hello world. And there it is, hello world. So now we have PHP installed. So now that we have a web server, and we also have PHP. All right. Okay. Now that we have that, we can go ahead and safely remove that file. If you remember correctly, the command is above there, so we could just do sudo space rm to remove space index.php. And that removed the file. Hit ls to verify it, and as you can see, it's gone now. And that's fine because we just don't need it at this time. Okay. So now that everything is working, we're going to go ahead and install MySQL. And it's also going to be the MariaDB fork. And I'll show you the installation for that. It's going to be sudo space apt space install space MariaDB hyphen server space php hyphen MySQL space hyphen yes, or y. So it's going to be sudo space apt space install space MariaDB hyphen server space php space MySQL space hyphen y. So we're going to install that. Okay. Once that's installed, we actually need to restart Apache 2 for the changes. So, how we do that is we do sudo space service space Apache 2 space restart. Okay, so again, that's sudo space service space Apache 2 space restart. And that's all there is to it. Now, okay. Now, the next thing that we need to do is we need to secure our MySQL. And so there's a few things that we can do to do that. And there is a command that we need to type in to do so. And that's going to be SUD so it's going to be sudo space MySQL underscore secure underscore installation. All right. So we hit enter. Okay. The first thing that it asks you is to enter a current password for root. There is none, but at this point right here, please enter a password. You need to enter one, okay? So make sure it's real secure. So I'm going to go ahead and do that for myself. Okay. And again, it'll just stay in place. It's not gonna, depend on how many characters or anything like that. The cursor is not gonna move. Okay, so you hit enter for that. Okay, and so it'll say, okay, successful. Use password. Moving on. Now, it says switch to Unix socket authentication. Hit yes. Okay. So let's hit yes on this one. Okay, so it did that. So you already have a root account protected, so you can safely answer no. Change your root password. So I just hit yes again, and I'm going to keep the password the same. Okay, so just hit yes. The new password, again, I'm going to keep it the same password that I had just entered it above. Okay, now we're going to re-enter that password that I just entered. All right, so next thing what we're going to do is we're going to, when it asks you to remove anonymous users, you're going to select yes. Okay. This one here, disallow root login remotely. Hit yes. Remove test database and access to it. Hit yes. Reload privilege tables now. Click yes. We're going to create a user account admin, and we're going to create a password for it, just so that we have that in case we can't access it into root, as root with the name. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to get access into the database. So we're going to type in the command sudo MySQL hyphen user equals root password. I'm going to enter the password that we had just created for the root. And we're in. So what we're going to do is, again, we're going to create a user with the name admin. So to do that, the command is create user space admin at localhost space identified by, and we need to add a password. So I'm going to make this very easy, and this is not a password I would normally have, but I'm just doing this for your sake and just for simplicity. Okay, so what it's going to be is we'll just randomly do it. Okay, so we'll just do POIULKJ. Okay? So again, this is normally a password I would not use. It's just you need to make it very secure. This is, after all, this is the admin, and so you get the picture. Okay. So then we're gonna do another quote, a single quote this time, and then we'll do semicolon. Okay, so again, the command is create space user space, and it's going to be admin at localhost space identified by, and this will be your password. So again, it'll be a single quote, your password, single quote, then semicolon. After you do that, hit enter. Great. The query is okay. 0 rows affected. Great. So that means we're good, so we can proceed to the next command. We want to grant all privileges, because this is in the event that we can't get into root. So grant all. So grant space all privileges on, so space on, asterisk, period, asterisk, space, to admin, if I could spell, admin at localhost. And semicolon. So again, the command is grant space all space privileges space on asterisk period asterisk space to space admin at localhost semicolon, and then you press enter, and there we go. Query is okay. That works out perfectly. Now the final thing we do is we need to flush. So it's FLUSH space privileges semicolon. So it's flush space privileges semicolon. Hit enter. Query okay, works perfectly. That's all we need to do. Hit exit, semicolon, and that's it. And we should be with a bye. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to install phpMyAdmin. So that's going to be sudo space apt space install space phpMyAdmin. Dash Y for yes. So that's sudo apt space install space phpMyAdmin space -y. Okay. Now be prepared. It's gonna ask us a few questions while we're doing this installation. So, but don't worry, we'll get this. We're gonna do this together, like we've been doing. Okay. So hit yes. Okay. So here's the first. So it says, please choose the web server that should automatically be configured to run phpMyAdmin. Now, as you know, we installed Apache 2. So the mark is already there. So all you have to do is just hit enter. Okay, this next one is to configure the package. It must have a database installed. This can be handled with dbconfig common. So do we want to configure the database for PHP with dbconfig common? Yes. So it's already default yes. With where the red is, hit enter. Okay. Now this is the password that we had set with the whatever you did for the root password. Okay, that would be the best thing to do. Okay, so you know if that's like a random password be generated, but it's best just to keep it. We're just gonna do it for a simplistic sake. So we'll just do the password that you had already set. So we'll do. Now we have to confirm the password. That's it there. Now we need to enable the MySQL extension and then restart Apache 2. So to do so, the command is sudo space phpEnmod space MySQL sudo space phpNenmod space MySQL. That's it there. And then finally we need to restart Apache 2. That command was sudo space service space Apache 2 restart. All right, now we need to see if it worked. So that's the best part. So what we need to do is we come up here. As you can see, this is where our when we tested the hello world to make sure PHP was running. Now, you're gonna get, if you just do /phpMyAdmin. This is where it should be located. Now, if you do this, you're going to get this error of not found. And that's completely normal. Okay? What that just means is that we have to do one extra step. And this is pretty commonplace. Okay? So we need to write a command. So we come back here. But I just wanted to show you, you know, that it's not going to be found. But we need to move the directory over. So the first thing, the command is going to be sudo/ln/s, excuse me, -s, then /usr/sare/phpMyAdmin, space /var/www/html/phpMyAdmin. Okay, so again, the command sudo space ln space -s space /usr/share/phpMyAdmin space. Don't forget that space, because this is the destination folder. /var/www/html/phpMyAdmin. Go ahead and hit enter. That should do it. Hit ls. And there it is. phpMyAdmin. Come back over to this page here where it's not found. Just refresh it. And look at that. That is perfect. So now you should be able, if you followed every direction, if you type in root, the root password, and then the password that we created, and it logs you on. And look at that. There's everything that we have here. And there's your own phpMyAdmin, the interface, databases, and you can see the web servers running Apache on Raspbian. So that's it. That's all there is to that part there. Okay. Okay. So now the final thing that we need to do for right now is we need to come back to this screen here. And what we need to do is we need to manage permissions on our web server. and I'm going to do this, and what we have to do is the command for the permissions is, so we go ls hyphen lh space / var / www / okay, so you can see the permissions there. So what we want to do is we want to change it. So we're going to do sudo channel r space, and again our user is pi colon www hyphen data space / var / www / html with the trailing slash. So it's sudo space CHOWN space hyphen R, capital R, make sure it's capital, space pi, P-I, colon www hyphen data space / var / www / html / hit enter. There's that. And then one more we're going to change. We're going to do sudo chmod this time hyphen capital R space. Now normally I wouldn't do this, okay, but I'm just doing this just so that you see and understand that I'm going to be installing some things. But normally I would set this back to like 770 or some people do other things, but I'm going to do 777. And I know that's a security risk. I understand that, but I'm just pointing that out, that it's just, I'm going to be installing some things and it's just a little bit easier for me, and then I can always change it back. So I'm going to do 777 space var hyphen www / html / hit enter. Do ls again. Hyphen LH hyphen slash VAR slash www slash HTML. Oh, excuse me. www. And there it is. As you can see, it's highlighted now. The HTML directory is highlighted. And the reason why it's highlighted is because I put it at 777 right here. Okay? Now, I normally will not do this. I'll set it to about probably 770. But I just want to do this just for simplistic sake. So again, I'm keeping it at 777 until we can get the get some things installed, and it's a HTML, and you can see how it went from right here, the differences, to right here. Okay, you can see the differences in the permissions. And we got that. All right. Now for the time being, we're going to move on to the next step. Okay, the next thing that we are going to do is we're going to activate FTP onto our Raspberry Pi. FTP is a very useful tool for transfer files, obviously. And so the first thing that we're going to do is, as with anything that we install, we always need to search for updates. So we're going to do a sudo space apt space update and hit enter, and again that's sudo space apt space update. Okay, once you've entered that command line, the next command is sudo space apt space full hyphen upgrade and hit enter. And as you can see, we've been updating it as we go, and so everything looks really well. And the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to actually install a program called VS-FTPD. And I find this very easy because you can use any client you want. And in this case, we're going to download FileZilla so that you actually have a GUI to do this sort of thing with, and we'll show you that next. So what we're going to do is, again, we have to install this command line. So we're going to do sudo space apt space install space vs ftpd. So again, that's sudo space apt space install space vs ftpd, and then hit enter. And that's all there is to it. But before we can begin using it, we have to modify some settings. And so what we're going to do is we need to go into the configuration file of the FTP program that we just installed. To do that, the command is sudo space, and then we're going to use our favorite text editor. In my case, it's going to be nano space / etc / vs ftpd dot conf. So again, that's sudo space nano space / etc / vs ftpd dot conf. Hit enter, and as you can see, the configuration pulls right up. And now what we need to do is that there are some options that just make everything it makes everything work correctly. So as we can just scroll down, and I'm going to show you the ones that are actually needed to run. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to need to come do is that anonymous enable is checked at no. The default, that is good. The next one that we should look at is that local enable is yes. So if these have a pound sign next to them, you should remove that. That way it enables it. If it not, if it'll disable it. We want these enabled. Okay, so local enable is yes. We're going to come down. So for an example, right enable equals yes. It has a pound sign, so it's been disabled. So we're going to delete that, and that way it's enabled now. The next one is, we're going to scroll down some more. Right here, local unmask equals 022. We're going to enable that one. We got to keep going. Keep going. Okay. And you know, there are ways, like if I were to use like a Control W and input exactly what it is that I'm looking for, we can search for that a lot easier. But again, I just want you to kind of get an idea of what is by default is going to be is going to be automatically disabled, and how I just want you to leave it there and only do exactly what I do. So we're going to come down. We keep coming down. Okay. So this one right here, ch root underscore local underscore user equals yes. Just go ahead and open that up. That is enabled. Now, there are multiple ones here, but you can leave those disabled. Okay? So just leave that alone. Just only do that one. Okay. There's that. Everything looks good. Okay. Okay. So with that being done, we do need to add 2 lines to the bottom here. And those 2 lines are going to be user underscore sub underscore token. That is going to equal the user that you'd like. In my case, I'm just going to pick pi. And because that's, again, that's what we set up as the username. Of course, you can do, there's a lot of things that you can do with this. Like, let's say if you wanted to give user accounts their own download area on your Raspberry Pi, this is where you would do that. And you would set the next line you would set to what the path is for that, for particular users and whatnot. So in my case, I just want to I'm just going to be using it myself. I'm not going to have users and things of that nature. So the next line, so just go down to the next line, type in, local. Okay. Local underscore root equals /. And what this does is when I log into my FTP, I want it to be at, this is where I want it to be when I log in. I can put anything I want here. I could put like the home directory or anything like that. But I'm just trying to make this simplistic and so you understand it. Okay. So with that being said, so you go, so we got everything that we need to correctly. We're going to go ahead and exit out of there. So you hit Control X. Again, do we want to save it? It's a yes. We want to write it to the file, hit enter. With that, we made those changes to configuration, so we need to restart the FTP program. To do that, it's sudo space service space ftpd restart. And that's all there is to it. Now, we need to test this to make sure this works. So what we're going to do is, I already have it pulled up. The free FTP program is FileZilla. I'm sure a lot of you are aware of it. A lot of you may not be. But this is free software, and it does exactly what you need to do, and you can download it for Windows 10. So what we're going to do is just click here, the first link. We want to download the client. So it's this button here. And we're going to download it for Windows here. And we just want the free version. Let's see here. So we're just going to do this first one here. And as you can see down here, and it's finished downloading. So we're going to go ahead and click that to run the setup. Okay, just click I agree. This wants to do some adware. I'm going to decline it. I want to make this available for it's just myself. Okay. We'll do a desktop icon as well. That looks good. Looks good. Okay, that's a very fast installation. We're going to go ahead and finish, but we have it marked as it's going to start it now. Okay, so as you can see, this is what it looks like. This is the client. And we are going to try to log in to what we just created. So the host is going to be the IP. I'm just going to use the IP address of the Raspberry Pi, which we know as 192.168.1.76. As you know, as we set up, the username is Pi. The password is what you use to log in as Pi to your Raspberry Pi. And we're going to use, so we'll enter that. All right. And the port, we're just going to use regular port 21, which is just your standard FTP. Okay, so with that, let me make sure we did this right. Okay. I accidentally entered the wrong password. Okay, so now that we have that, so again, we have the host name here, and then we have the username here. We enter the password. This is the password when we first installed the Raspberry Pi software, the operating system, and we changed it. If you didn't change it, the password is still going to be Raspberry. So then the port would be 21, and then we're going to do a quick connect. Okay, and for here, it's just asking us if we want to save it. I'll go ahead and click yes or okay. This server does not support. If you continue, yes. I just want to allow the insecure FTP on this server, just so you can see it, okay? So we're going to always put allow it. We click OK. And there it is. And as you can see, when I put the slash, it came to this folder here. And as you can see that at the very bottom here, I can go to var www HTML. And see, there's the phpMyAdmin, and this is also the web directory. So if I ever uploaded or installed something here, this is where I would do it. Then I could go to my main directory, and voila, there it is. I would have my website. Okay, so as you can see, it's pretty easy to do. And you can use any FTP client for this. You can FileZilla, there's Qt FTP. I mean, there's a whole ton of them. Okay, so with that being said, we'll move on to the next thing. Okay, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to set up our actual domain name. And this is the fun part. When I say fun, this is going to be a little bit tricky, but I will try to explain it very detailed and without a lot of technical jargon. As you can see, I'm already on the domains.google website. And as I said previously, I registered the domain name under Google as my registrar, as opposed to, say, like GoDaddy or some other company. And, I know that everybody will be different, but this is who I chose, and so this is how we're going to set it up as. So as you can see over here in the top right, it has my domains, and that's what we're going to click. It brings us to the list of domains that you may have. I have another one that's I have two domains. One is easyaspi.app, which is what we're going to be using and setting up, and also I have iwasframe.com. The iwasframe.com is a website that I use as a hobby for picture framing. Now, what we're going to do is we want to manage this particular one. So we just go over here to the right side and click manage. And as you can see here, it brings you to the domain overview. And as you can see over here on the left hand side, there's a column of options. And we are going to select DNS. So go ahead and click that. Now it brings us to this page, and what we want to do first is we want to go down here, and you can see where it says show advanced settings. We want to click on that, and it's going to show up as dynamic DNS, and that's exactly what we want. If you see here, what dynamic DNS does, as it says, it maps the internet domain name to IP addresses and allows your home computer to be accessed from anywhere in the world. And so we need this for somebody to see your website. If you click on here, learn more about using dynamic DNS, it sends you to this page here. And this page is very important because there's a lot of ways that we can constantly ping to Google to let them know, hi, I'm here. My Raspberry Pi is here. This is me. This is my IP address. Please, I don't want you to forget about me, kind of thing. And if you come down here, it says use the API to update your DNS record. And if you extend that, this is exactly what we're going to be using right here. This is like the most simplest way, and we're going to write a script that caters to this, to where our Raspberry Pi communicates to Google domains every hour of every day to let them know that, hi, I'm still here. So we come back here, click on Google Domains, again come back down here to Dynamic DNS, and I forgot to show you this, as you can see, it has a username and password. And these are credentials that are going to be generated by Google. And we're going to show you exactly how to do that. So we'll come back here. Again, back down here to Dynamic DNS, all the way at the bottom. We click Manage Dynamic DNS. And what we want is we want two things. We want one without the subdomain. So just leave that blank. And we also want one that has www. So one is just going to be easyaspi.app, and then one will be www.easyaspi.app. That way both of them can be recognized. We click Save. All right. Come back down here, and now as you can see, we're going to show advanced features. It says your domain has dynamic DNS set up now. So we click on back here on Manage Dynamic DNS, and it's still doing its thing. So we're just waiting for the records to show up. Okay. And there we are. As you can see, it just takes like a minute and before it actually shows up. And you can see down here, we have the two host names, the easyaspi.app, and we have the www.easyaspi.app. And as you can see, we have the credentials here. And so for the first one, you can see if you click it, it says resetting these credentials will generate a new username and password used with dynamic DNS API, and your old credentials will cease to work. The action cannot be undone. And I plan on showing you because I want you to see precisely what it generates. And that way you can confirm, it's going to be different for you, obviously. So with that being said, what we're going to do is we'll keep that as is for right now. And I'm going to show you exactly what we're going to do with this information. Oh, okay. Okay, what we need to do is we need to come back to our actual SSH client, and I'm still logged in, so if you're not logged in, you need to log in. And we're going to, as you can see, I'm at my home directory, and we're going to create a script that we're going to run. And as I said, we're going to create a script that we're going to run that communicates with Google domains. And how we're going to do that is I'm going to pause. Okay, we're going to write a script that communicates with Google every hour of every day forever. And we're going to do that with a cron job. The first thing we're going to do is we'll do it with we're going to write a script. And how we do that is, again, we're going to use our text editor Nano. And so what we would do is we would type in sudo nano DNS underscore, and this could be, you can name this anything you want. Update underscore script. I chose this name because I saw it in another video at one time, and I really liked the name, and it just helped me to remember it. I can't remember which video it was, or else I would cite it. But it was a really good video, and I'm kind of basing my video upon it. But I'm just doing it as a more of an update. So we're going to name, so it's going to be a .sh file because it's a script. So we hit enter. Okay. So of course, as you can see, it's blank. And what we're going to do is, if you remember correctly, we come back here and we have the API. That's right here. Okay? So what we would need, the only thing we need, you see how it says this ampersand and a my IP right here? We don't actually need that at all. All we need is this part here. All the way to the .com, your .app, .net, whatever your, whatever the ending domain name is. So I have already created in Visual Studio. I've already created a the script here, and so I'm gonna copy and paste it on over. And well, I'm gonna show it to you because I'm going to I'll explain it, and I'm gonna update it accordingly. Okay, so as you can see, the first line, it's gonna be wget, and it's going to be, as you can see, I pasted the code. And all I did was I changed, you can see right here, I changed yourdomain.com, subdomain yourdomain.com to mine. And as you can see, the first one here, it's www.easyspy.app, and then under this one here, easyspy.app. Now, what we wanted to do is, you can see how it's username and password twice. It's because they're going to get their own dedicated username and passwords, because one has a subdomain and one isn't a subdomain. So how we go about doing that is we come down, as you remember, we already created the credentials. Now we just got to be able to view the credentials. So let's start with the let's see, which one did we start with? We'll go ahead and let's do the one with the subdomain, the www. So it's the second one here, and we click on that, and we want to view it. So you can see it's username and password, and it's dotted. Remember, yours will be different. I'm just showing it to you. I will be deleting it when the video is over, so I'm going to let you see it, okay? So that's what it is. So this one is my username, because, you know, if I had left this on, you would really be able to have some fun with the domain. So we do that. Oop. So this one here. So all we're going to do is replace the word username with that. Come down here to password. Copy that, and that is a colon that separates it. There's that, and paste. Okay, so as you can see, it has those two, the username and the password. And now all we're going to do is we're going to do the exact same thing for the second one. So we'll close that out. And this one here, easyaspawn.com, we're going to view the credentials. We're going to do exactly the same thing. And as you can see, the credentials are different. So we come and do that. That is the username. It's like that. And then we come back for the password. And that's all there is to it. Now that we have that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to copy this into the file, my nano file that I just created. And I'm going to explain it to you. There we go. Okay. So how the script works, it's got to be a wget command, and it's got to be this is the API code. This is a hyphen, this is a capital O, and what we want to do is we want to write the results to a text file. And when I say the results, I'm referring. If you look down here, it tells you if it's a good, if there's no change, if there's bad errors. This will tell you if it fails, and that's what. And we want that to be written, and it's going to write every hour to that file, and it will be posted. The file will be created in the exact same directory that the script is made. That we're going to have it in the home directory. Okay, and then we're going to echo, we want to know the date of the last run, and that will also be written to the two text files that we created. And how I created the text files is just DNS update underscore results, and then I have one for the www, and then the one for the no subdomain. And of course, again, name these whatever you want, and it's I mean, anything. This is just what helps me to remember what's going on. And again, I learned it from a different YouTube video, and I really wish I knew which one it was, because I would really like to give that person credit for it. And it was so helpful. It helped me with everything. And I'm kind of basing it on this. I just remembered it very well, but wish I would have saved it. But what we're going to do is, after we did that, we have to write the directory out, or excuse me, the file. So it's, as you can see, it's down here. It's Control O for write out. And we want to file to write the name. We just hit enter because we want to keep that same name. And that did it. Now we can exit. And that's all we have to do. All right. The next thing we have to do is that we have to make, and if we, just to verify that the file is there, just hit ls, and as you can see, it's right there. Now what we have to do is we have to make the file executable. And to do that, we need to do the command sudo space chmod space plus x, and then the file name, and then the name of the file. Just like that. We're going to hit enter. That is perfect. What we will do now is we will execute it. And so that's sudo dot / the name of the file, and hit enter. And everything looks okay. So we do that, and you can see right here it made the 2 files. And what we can do is we can take a look. We can take a look at these files just to see, and look at that. It says good. That means everything is checked out. That's exactly what we need to see, because if you come back here, it says good, user's IP address, it's success. The update was successful. You should not attempt another update until your IP address changes. So everything is great. So what we're going to do now, we can exit out of there. I want to create a cron job for this so that this will always run, and we won't pester Google, but we're just going to run a cron tab space .e, press enter. And when you first do it, you're going to have to select one of the editors. It says right here, I like using Nano. It even says it's the easiest, which is true. And for me, that's number 1. Okay, so with this here, you want to scroll all the way down. It tells you in the instructions here which each of it, how do you replace everything here. It tells you like what numbers to use, if you want to use an asterisk for the different fields. So what you need to do is we want it to do every hour of every day. So we're going to do 0 space asterisk space asterisk space asterisk space asterisk space /home /pi /DNS _update _script.sh. And yes, everything looks very good here. Okay, so now we also need to write out this file. So that is a Control O. We're gonna just hit enter. Everything's good. Go ahead and exit. And that's all there is to it. Now that we have the script in place, after a given amount of time for it to resolve through the internet and with Google, you can come down here, and as you can see where we have the dynamic DNS, you can see here that the 2 host names, the type has been converted to the 4 A's, and the data is the IP version 6 address, as opposed to the version 4 address. But however, we do need to enter that IPv4 address so that the internet can see where to drive our traffic towards. And to do that, you need to know what your IP address is. And you could, and when I'm talking about your IP address, I'm not talking about your network and IP address or the IP address of your Raspberry Pi that your Wi-Fi has assigned it. What we need is the IP address of your router. Now, everybody uses a different router, so I'm not going to go into my router and show you, because it probably won't apply. But you just need to find what your IP address of your outgoing, for your outgoing and inbound traffic is to your router for the internet. And, you know, another way you could do this is that you could just type in what is my IP address, and you can see right here, that's the 45.23.59.213. And that is what we're going to use. Okay, so what you do is you come back here and we're going to add a custom record. And we want to do it for both the domain names, the one without the subdomain and one with the subdomain www. So how you do that, again, you leave this one blank because this is where the subdomain goes. The type is going to be an A record, and it tells you exactly right here what you need to enter, and it says the IP version 4 address. And so we're going to enter that 45.23.59.213. We also want to create a record for www. Same type of record, same IP address. And go ahead and save both of those. Excellent. Now, as you can see, they both saved. We have that. Might have to take a little bit of time for it to resolve on the internet. But in the meantime, we can come back here to the, let's see here, we come back here to the actual, oop, there we go. Let's clear this screen. Okay, so what we want to do is, let's go ahead and just for good measure, we're going to, let's run our script. Since we did change the IP address, that looks really good. Perfect. Okay. So let me see. So what we could do next is let's go to where our, let's see here. There we go. Let's go to our web directory. And you can see that's where the phpMyAdmin is. And let's go ahead and create an index file again. Oop, there we go. So that's sudo space nano space index.php. And what we'll do is we'll create the same line of code that we did at the beginning of this lesson. This time we'll just say it works. Okay. So again, this was, if you recall correctly, we initially put hello world, and in this case we're just going to go it works in PHP, and we'll go ahead and control exit. Yes, hit enter, and that's saved. And just again to verify it, there's ls for the list, and there it is there. So we can come back up to here, and let's see, we might have to wait like a little while for it to resolve on the internet. Okay. While we're waiting for the internet to resolve with our Raspberry Pi, to see if we can initiate a SSL certificate through Let's Encrypt. Now, the standard on the internet these days is that it's pretty much everything is going to go SSL, so that everything, so all the sites are secure. So and these certificates are free. So it's really nice that they do this. So the first thing that we're going to do is, of course, we have to update. So the command is sudo apt update, and then hit enter. Okay, and then the second command is going to be sudo space apt and then upgrade. And great. We didn't have to have anything upgraded because this is what we've been doing the whole time, and that way our system is completely up to date. Okay. The next thing that we're going to do is, since we are using Apache, we're going to have to install some other software that's called a certbot, and we need to have it specific to Apache. So the command for that is sudo space apt space install space python 3 hyphen certbot hyphen Apache. So again, that's sudo space apt space install space python hyphen certbot hyphen Apache, and then press enter. And it's going to ask if we want to continue. We just hit Y for yes. Okay, that's all there is to it there. Now what we're going to do is we're going to try to initiate a new certificate, and I'm hoping that it will do it. So we'll see. Okay, so the command for this is going to be sudo space certbot space run space hyphen a space webroot space hyphen I space Apache space hyphen W space / var / www / html space hyphen d. Oh, sorry about that. D space, then the domain name, easy as pi.app, and of course whatever your address is, space -d, and then also with the subdomain www.easyaspi.app. Okay. So as you can see, it's sudo space certbot space run space -a space webroot space -i space Apache space -w space /var/www/html space -d space easyaspi.app, whatever your domain name is, space -d, and then space, and then with the subdomain www.easyaspi.app. And everything goes well, we should be able to initiate this. So let's see what happens. So we'll press enter. Okay. Here I need to put in a email address. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. Let's see here. I'm going to do my other domain. So we got info at iwasframed.com. Okay, so we'll use that email address. Okay, so it says, please read the terms of service. So basically you have to agree to their terms of service, and there's the website. It's let'sencrypt.org, and we're just going to select yes. We'll just say that we agree with it. Okay. This one here, this next one, is that it wants to know if the EFF would like to send us email about encrypting the web, news, and this and that and the other thing. I get too much email as it is, so I'm just going to put in as for no. And of course, if you want to, you can. Okay. Okay. Well, as we were doing this certificate, as you can see, we ran into a little bit of an issue. And I thought that it was a great idea that happened, because you're going to get common errors with those if you forget to do something. And in this case, I did forget to do something, and that was I had reset my router, and I didn't reset the where I opened up the port for the web hosting. So for port 80 and whatnot. And so again, everybody's going to have a different router. Everybody's got to just kind of figure that portion out. But you have to allow a web server, and also your a secure web server. So web server and also your HTTPS. And so once you do that, then you can initiate the certificate. And that's exactly what we're going to do. So if you recall correctly, the the command is sudo certbot run -a webroot -i Apache -w /var www/html space -d space easyspy.app space -d space www.easyspy.app. Okay, so let's give it a try now. Oh, okay. So this, you requested, okay. So it knew I was trying to request it. We want to, so let's go ahead and renew and replace, because I don't know how far it went. Oh, actually, we can reinstall an existing well, let's do number 2. Oh, look at that. That is great. And as you can see here, so we're gonna select which host we want, and as you can see down here, we have the SSL HTTPS, and that's the one we want. So we're gonna do number 2. And there it is. We got a nice little congratulations, and we have our secured our SSL, and it's automatically on the browser. So I'll go ahead and I'll show you that. I hope it's already I hope we can access it. So let me see if I refresh. Oh, there it is. And look at that. It works. Isn't that easy? No, not really, but you know. So there it is. And if you hit, if we do www.easyspy.app, we get the same thing. There it is. See? That way, if a user wants to do www or without it, a lot of times it's, you know, it's without it, then we won't have that problem. So, very good. We got that accomplished. The next thing that we're going to do is I want to show you how to install Joomla. And that way we can show that how powerful this actually is. And so let's go ahead and get started on that. All right. So we'll just go from here. So we'll just go Google. And okay, so we're going to do Joomla for Helix Ultimate. I like the Helix package because it has everything, and it just looks nice, and it has the sample data, and I gotta kind of mess around with it prior to what we were doing. Okay, so the first thing that we would do is click on the first link. Okay. And the one that we want, let's see here. Let's see. There we go. Couldn't find it. Okay, we want the quick start pack because, like I said, that includes all the examples and things of that nature. It would be just a more complete complete example, and I just want you to see that. So we're going to go ahead and download that. Very nice, very nice. Okay, so we can clear that off. Okay. And if you recall, we can use our FileZilla there it is. So as you can see over here, we want to go to var www, then to HTML, and we want to put it into this directory. There's a couple of ways you could do that. Oops. Okay. We can just go like this. Show it in the folder. Here it is right here. This is my downloads. And we could just drag it over from here to here. And as you see, it's a pretty big file, and it's a zip file, and I'll show you how to unzip it as well. Okay. Okay, very good. So that is on there. And it's on there great. Okay. So you can see we have that. I'm going to go in here and I'm going to show you. We want to go back to the command line. And if we hit clear to clear this out, and then just hit ls, type ls, and you can see there is the zip file. Long name there, okay? And it's also the index. What we can do is we can go ahead and get rid of that index PHP to let us know that it worked. And so to do that, all we have to do is RM for remove, space, index.php. And that's gone. Okay, now that we have Joomla 4 uploaded into our Raspberry Pi, we're going to begin the installation stage. And the best thing to do is we have a couple things. First things first, though, is that we're going to go ahead and pre-create the database, the user and the database for it. So to do that, we have to log in to MySQL. So to do that, we're going to do sudo space MySQL space -u space root space -p. And again, so that's sudo space MySQL space -u space root space -p. And it should prompt us for the password. And there it is. So I'll enter the password. And we are in. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to issue the command, and it's going to be create space database space, and this is the database name. So we're just going to call it Joomla. And then we finish that off with a semicolon. So again, create database Joomla with a semicolon at the end. Then you're going to press enter. And it says query OK, one row affected. That means so far so good. Next thing we need to do is we need to grant privileges. And so what we're going to do is in this line we create a user, but we also assign it to the database that we just created. So the command for that is grant space all privileges on Joomla dot asterisk to, and it'll be a single quote, and we'll just name it Joomla as well, just for simplicity's sake. Again, you can name it anything you want, but I'm just doing this to make it easy. Joomla, then it's going to be a closed single quote, the @ sign, single quote, localhost, closed single quote, space, identified, space, by, space, and this will be a password that you want to grant this user. And again, as if you recall, during the duration of this lesson, I used the same password. And again, that is for simplistic sake. And make sure you do not select this password. You choose something very difficult. Okay? So again, it's going to be, so the password will be, you got to do the single quote, and we'll just use the same one, POIULKJ Then we'll do single quote and then semicolon. So let's rehash it. This is grant all privileges on Joomla dot asterisk to space single quote Joomla single quote @ sign single quote localhost single quote space identified by, and then the password in single quotes followed by a semicolon. So we'll go ahead and press enter, and that worked. Query OK. That is excellent. Once we have that, we can go ahead and flush the privileges. that command is flush, FLUSH, space, privileges, then semicolon, hit enter, and that's that. And we can go ahead and exit MySQL. So just type in exit with a semicolon, and that's all there is to it. And it'll prompt you with saying bye to you. Okay. So the next thing that we'd want to do is, now that we have the database set up, we can go ahead and begin the installation of Joomla. Okay, now that we have Joomla on our Raspberry Pi, we're going to go ahead and extract it. So as you can see, in the web directory, because that's where we had uploaded it via FTP. So if you just select ls, hit enter, you will see the Joomla, the Helix Ultimate Quick Start file, which is in zip format. And again, the reason why I chose this particular one is because it's free, number one, and number two, I like the way it looks, and I just wanted to show you that you can produce something on your Raspberry Pi that looks extremely professional, and you get a lot of wow factor with it. So that's the point of it. So the thing we have to do is we have to unzip this. And the way that you do it in Linux is quite simple. And the command is unzip. Go unzip, space, and then this is a pretty long file name, so I am just going to copy it. So just like that. So unzip and then the actual full file name. And we could just keep it right in the same directory because this is where we want it to be. Hit enter. And we got that. Hit ls. And as you can see, it has all the appropriate directories and everything of that nature. Now we can go ahead and remove the zip file. So just rm and again just copy, paste, and remove. Hit ls again to verify your work. And as you can see, it's completely gone. Okay, great. So, now that we have that accomplished, we'll go ahead and clear this screen so we can get to the top. Now, if you recall from previous, if you type in change directory, and we want to go back one directory, just do space and then ... That's going to take us back one directory to www, and obviously that is where the HTML file resides in. And if you could verify that by hitting ls, and there it is. Now, as you can see, the reason why it's highlighted is because we had temporarily gave it a 777 code so that it has like write access, read access, basically the whole world can see it. And I know that there's some you know, there's could be security risks involved in that. But again, I'm just doing it for simplistic sake. I'm just doing it just to show you seamlessly what happens, and that way everything just works out as it should, as I want it to be. So we need to go ahead and do the same thing again, because we just installed a bunch of files. That way I can access it a lot better. So what we'll do is we'll go sudo, and we're going to change mod. We're going to do -R 777, and we will do HTML and hit enter. Hit ls. As you can see, HTML is the same. So we'll change directory to HTML. We'll hit ls. And yes, as you can see, all the other ones are highlighted as well. And that's because of the number has changed. The access, the write access, the read only access has changed, and now it's highlighting green as pretty much as an alert to let you know that there are some security risks. But again, I'm doing this deliberately so that you understand this. Okay? So this is not something that I would normally do, but I'm just doing it just for so that you can understand it. Okay. So, with that being said, once we have those files done just like that, we can actually go to the website and begin the installation process of Joomla. And so we'll just go to our browser, and this was the where we got the download from. So all we have to do is just plug in the website. So easy as pie.app. Hit enter. And look at that. Well, now we're at the Joomla installer. And as you can see, that's Joomla. We're going to install version 4.0.3. And we're going to begin with select the installation language, and I am from the United States, so I'll select English US. Oh, so when you get these here, the security token did not match the request was aborted to prevent any security breach, and it's because I took too much time. So let me refresh this. Okay, so we know that I'm from the United States, and okay, oops. So we need to name the Joomla site. So we're gonna name it Easy as Pie. Okay, and then we're gonna set up our login data. Okay. So for the real super name, I'm gonna do Mike. Name. So my super user. Let's see here. The username is going to be Mike. Setting the password. Okay, so we're gonna do Mike at iwasframed.com. It's my other site. Okay. Then next, we're gonna set up the database connection. Okay. So the database type, leave that as the default. The MySQL enter the host, leave it at localhost. Enter the username you created or the username provided by your host. That's going to be Joomla. What was the password? This. Enter the database name. If you recall, we just, for simplicity, we named it the same thing after the username. Probably not a good idea, but we just did it as it was. Okay. This here, the prefix table of prefix is randomly generated. I don't even touch it. Just let it be, unless you want something very unique. By all means, it's up to you. Okay. So then we have connection encryption. Just leave it at the default, server controlled. And with that being said, if all goes right, we'll install Joomla. Right. And there we go. It says, congratulations, your Joomla site is ready. And do we install additional languages? No, that's okay. I'll just keep it at English. And this one here is, we do have some, there are some recommended settings from PHP that Joomla likes. Again, these are just recommended. A lot of these things, it's just, I don't know. Sometimes I can't even figure out why they want to do it, but it might be something that you want to look into. And I just have one item, so and frankly, I don't even know what that is. I'd have to look it up. Okay, and so if you want to do that, then we can complete and open the website. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So we go this. All right, look at that. And there is a very nice website. See? I really hope that you all found this very useful. Again, this is not my content. This is just the content that I went through the Helix framework of Joomla. They, provide templates and among other things and extensions, and so I'm just it's sample data for the so that you understand how it works and where it's being put at, and whatnot. So. Man, that's I think that's everything that I can think of now. If you really like this video, this was my very first video. I would appreciate any feedback. I hope you really liked it. I know I didn't have the best microphone or I don't have the best voice at this time, but I'm trying to practice, and I'll eventually get better. But I want to make other ones. Like, I know a lot of people are interested in like the with like the email clients and things of that nature. And I know how to do it for free and get everything done. So, but anyways, that's just okay. But that's about it. Looks really nice. This is a nice template. You know, and you have like different ones that you can select from. Oh yeah, see? Look at that. Yeah. Okay. I mean, you can install like anything on here. I mean, you can install MediaWiki. I mean, you can install, you know, there's that Simple Machines forum, which is a really good forum. It's just everything about them is good. But okay, well, that concludes everything I wanted to teach you, and I hope it worked out very much. Again, my name is Mike, and I'm signing off. And thank you for everything, and please like the video and share it. Okay.